Partnered by Times Influence.
After recognizing great success with many major research-based initiatives such as Best Brands, Promising Brands, or for that matter, Inspiring Business Leaders of India, etc., the Economic Times, along with its knowledge partner, Deloitte, is proud to announce the second edition of the Best BFSI Brands 2018 in continuation of its Best Brands series. Well, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I'd now like to invite on stage Mr. R. Amalor Pavatan, who's the Deputy Managing Director with NABARD, to please come on the stage and also present the special address for the evening.
The present BFSI approach in the budget, what I could see, is focusing on the differentiated financial services of all kinds. Because the focus is on MSME, agro-processing units, financial inclusion, delivery of bank-linked social benefits, and also a huge level of digitized financial transactions. These are all some of the things, the media through which the government is trying to address the problems of the supply side. On the institutional side, I see lots of initiatives coming up. Is basically a consolidation approach. The concerns are also there along with the consolidation. Is the risk levels of the banks and financial institutions are increasing and less understood. So everybody needs to pull up their stocks to understand what is it all about. Once again, discover what is the risk in which we are doing our business. The second important thing is the contract enforcements. There is lots of legal support that is required to enforce contracts. First time, the regional rural banks are onboarded and they are going to market in this current year. So that's initially a few banks will go and then we'll have to consolidate them more in order to meet the customer expectations, the investors' expectations also. The margins are increasingly under stress in a competitive environment. Each one have a different kind of a work model, the business models and the delivery models. Based on that, the margins available at different players is very much limited. So we need to learn improving the efficiency of our deliveries. The important consolidation process also includes India's and also the technological challenges. There's a lot more of technology applications have to come in. And in this consolidation process and the technology process, things have to be done at individual or corporate level very carefully. I think I just tried to highlight some of the concerns and challenges before you. And I would like to listen more from how our financial fraternity is trying to figure out their opportunities in this budget. Thank you very much for patient listening.
Well, taking forward these perspectives, we'll now march ahead into our panel discussion on riding the wave of structural changes in the BFSI sector.
What do you envisage as an evolution of the segment in which you belong to is coming in the coming decade? How it is going to pan out?
All said and done, we are part of BFSI, but let me confess that general insurance is the youngest and the most native segment of this space. You know, most of you would have recognized a few general insurance companies last year or two, perhaps. You know, the reason is very simple. It's a lifestyle product. It really emerges after people cross a certain threshold. People get into creating assets. That's where they really look at risk transfers. It's also a function of literacy. It's also a function of, you know, how much people believe in risk transfer, how much people are willing to pay for that. So awareness is a critical, you know, factor over here. It's something which I think will grow significantly in our country on a some relative comparative, I would say, evolution for us as an industry. You know, we are about 1,20,000 crore at just about 1% penetration to GDP. 1% is thanks to the government of India, which really gave crop insurance like an insurance scheme and not like a subsidy. That's why it touched 1%. Otherwise, it was languishing between, you know, 0.7 to 0.8 for good 16 years before this, from inception of or the liberalization of the insurance sector. So its structural inclusions are critical over here. Since it's needed by everybody, how are you going to deliver is a big question. How efficiently will you deliver is a very critical question. And eventually, can you sustain this or not? Individual companies will continuously grapple. So I think it's a great opportunity, and that's how we expect the evolution to be.
I think in the last 1 year, I think the asset management industry has been quite well represented in the press. The kind of unprecedented flows we have had has been a very clear counter to the FII money, which brings a lot of stability in terms of we are not dependent only on the FII perspective. Despite this large amount of growth that we have seen in the last 1 year, finally, when we sit back and think, we are just about 3.5% of the population who are investing today. So clearly miles to go. The good news is that the awareness levels are going up significantly. I think the main trigger that we are going to see, and not what we have seen as of now, is the fact that technology is really coming to our, to our benefit, and more importantly, positive regulatory interventions. So if 2017 we believe was a great year, 2018 you could see actually far more flows, because 3% can surely move significantly higher in terms of the flows into equity and fixed income.
We are growing as an industry by 20% CAGR from last 10 years now. Still, the overall population, which is actually health, has a health insurance, is less than 5% today. So there's a huge population, which he said in terms of 10 crore, people, which accounts to 40 to 50 crores of families, which is around 30 to 35 to 40% of population, will now be able to get a health insurance access. There have been earlier as well some schemes like that in terms of RSBY, and certain state governments are also doing it. But now with the budgets coming from the central government, and this being as the main prime activity for the government, I think this makes a lot of sense for us. It will increase a lot of awareness as well in the consumer mind, not just the BPL. Otherwise as well, we feel it will create a lot of awareness into the mind of people who are living here as well. So it will definitely, and we would like to be part of, definitely all insurance companies would like to take a pie out of that.
Moving on to the next question is on digital disruption. And how do you think each one of you believe in your business segment will it affect?
What one has realized in the last 2-3 years is what technology does to our business. Something which used to be more like an automation, something record capturing, recording it and keeping it for 8-10 years, has all of a sudden in the last couple of years become the central to what you do. It's like, how do you do your business? Most of the times now, I think we'll start is what technology will do first, and then do we have good people sitting on top who can take decisions. Structurally, the basic thing which has changed, two things rather. One, India is also becoming a part of a connected world. And then resultantly, the customers are delivered the things on a real-time basis. So in some sense, the big disruption for us is, are we prepared, or our rules, our experiences are well calibrated to give an instant response to any situation? An instant response to a proposal, an instant response to a claim.
Kailash, would you like to give?
Well, in our industry, the interesting fact is that the digital disruption is happening mainly because of the consumer. We have no choice but to adopt to technology, and in a very quick manner. Whether it is on the sales front, whether it's on the servicing front, it's across the length and breadth of the organization. I think today what we need to realize is the value chain. The consumer behavior is changing dramatically. Earlier it was the 60-year-old father who was involved in the financial decision making. Today it is his 25, 30-year-old son or daughter who sits with him and takes that decision.
The millennial.
The problem is the father has the hour and a half to sit and have a discussion, talk politics, economics, and then talk of investments. The 25 to 30-year-old has no time for all that. They want a quick decision, they want it clean, cut, and deliverable, and they hate paper. And to that extent, the entire value chain of people who advise them, manufacturers like us who actually make products, we need to keep it into a 3-step simple process. So if we don't do that, the person who does that will actually win. And that, I think, is a big driving change that is happening on the technology side.
Right, from your health insurance perspective, please.
I think we are no different from any BFSI in terms of what disruptions can happen to all of us. What is the biggest thing which we feel will happen, especially in health insurance space today, which will change and which will get disrupted, is the change of behavior. Insurance has always been considered as the product is sold to the customer. I think the biggest disruption will happen now, and whereby today the customer is buying the policy. We will not be able to sell products to people. This is what I feel today. They will buy it basis various things. It is already happening. When we do a lot of surveys, etc., 40% of our customers today first go online, check Policybazaar, etc. Even then they buy from somewhere else, but still they do everything. That will also change, and that will also move towards that. So a lot of things happening.
Success is incidental. It is the way you look at things, it's the way you have fun while trying to create something. I think the company has been able to achieve all this because we have great fun, and we are obsessed about people and we are obsessed about our customers. So I think as long as we have this DNA right, as long as we have the freedom to decide and deliver what we feel is good for the industry, as long as we redefine the industry, we will keep on doing good.
Shifting to digital is probably the biggest trigger, because the ease of doing business, the cost of doing business, all of that is going to collapse, and we can expand our reach. Historically, we've built up 90 offices to reach our current reach, but I would say I can expand my base 5 to 6 times without adding any more branches. That's the power of digital.
Let's now march ahead to our next very special segment for the evening. We, in fact, are very humbled to have the presence of our chief guest with us this evening. We have with us Dr. Ranjit Patil, Minister of State, Home, Urban Development, Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, Law and Judiciary, Parliamentary Affairs, Government of Maharashtra. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be inviting on stage our honorable chief guest to deliver his chief guest address as well to the August gathering.
Friends, I know, and as you all know, that it is the India, as we are marching forward, our beloved and under the auspicious leadership of our Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Ji Modi, who has always been stressing upon the importance of this banking. As you all know that at the very outset of his being into the chair and into power, he had launched Jan Dhan Yojana, which he had stressed because if you want to reach the government benefits and subsidies to the far-flung, they need to be linked with the bank accounts. And so 30 crore accounts were started in his 6 months of tenureship. As India moves ahead with the vision to become an economic behemoth in the next few years, the scale of the economic growth and the inclusive growth achieved will be determined especially by the actual level of prosperity in its populace and the degree of equitable distribution of wealth. And best thing to happen, and to achieve this, BFSI sector plays a very important role. And it has to respond to now the customer's expectation and its satisfaction, the regulators which are required, the technology, the competition, the shifting economic balances, and the landscape which I had seen the transition over the last 20-25 years. There is a lot of transformation. The landscape has shifted and has changed vastly. Most of these things which we are using, like the scheme which we had launched, our flagship program, like in last 2-3 days of budget, you must have seen the Ayushman Bharat Yojana, which has been launched by the Prime Minister, which covers about 10 crores of family, that is expanding to the 5 person in each family, that leads to 50 crore of these persons and the citizens of India. They are being covered by the policy which is called as Ayushman policy, which is being implemented and executed by the insurance sector. Probably this is the largest insurance policy which in the world, as it has been described. I'm very much proud that this banking sector and the insurance sector is being contributing to all this thing. With all this thing, I owe all success, and I am proud, and I should acknowledge that the Economic Times is always taking lead into all this thing. Maybe that in future, if something is required for the banking sector from the government side, like from government of Maharashtra, I would be first person to help you as a catalyst between you and government, if you have some proposal to finance some infrastructure project. So once again, thank you very much. Thanks.
This was followed by the unveiling of a special coffee table book called Best BFSI Brands by the chief guest.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, as we have already unveiled to you the cover of the coffee table book that actually features the best brands, and this evening is all about the felicitation of the best brands. The first brand to be felicitated this evening, please put your hands together for Apollo Munich Health Insurance. Well, moving on, ladies and gentlemen, the next brand to be felicitated is AU Small Finance Bank. Well, you know we're talking about the best brands, so let's have the best round of applause up next for Bajaj Allianz General Insurance. Well, the next brand to be felicitated this evening is Canara Robeco Asset Management. Let's march ahead to felicitate the next brand, Capital First. You see, BFSI is one such sector that is beaming with a lot of enthusiasm owing to transformation in the country. So let's have an enthusiastic round of applause for HDFC. Well, let's continue with that momentum and let's hear it for Hinduja Leyland Finance. You know, sometimes we like the sound of the applause louder than the sound of the music. Can we have a loud round of applause for IIFL Wealth Management? Ladies and gentlemen, the next best BFSI brand, let's hear it for IL&FS Financial Services. Well, moving on to felicitate our next best BFSI brand, let's hear it for Indian Bank. The felicitation continues with our next best BFSI brand, Mahindra Finance. Well, up next, let's also hear it for Paisa Bazaar. Well, it's also time to announce the next best BFSI brand. Let's hear it for PNB Housing Finance. And on that note, can we also have a huge round of applause for our next best BFSI brand, Policy Bazaar. Looks like the tempo of the music has also fastened, so let's do that with the applause as well, and let's hear it for Reliance Home Finance. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, the applause will continue for RelianceSmartMoney.com. The next brand to be felicitated, let's hear it for SBI General Insurance. We'll take that enthusiasm and that momentum forward. Ladies and gentlemen, let's now have a huge round of cheer for Shriram Life Insurance. Well, let's march ahead to also felicitate the next best BFSI brand for this evening, Sundaram Mutual. We're almost inching closer and closer, so let's have an energetic round of applause for the next best BFSI brand, Tata Capital. Are you all eager to find out our next best BFSI brand? Yes, I'm sure. Then let's have a round of applause for Yes Bank. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, the next best BFSI brand, which is also one of the best technology providers in the BFSI sector. Let's hear it for VMware Software India. With that, it's the end of this fantastic edition of the Economic Times Best BFSI Brands 2018. Thank you very much.
Partnered by Times Influence.